Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this video, I am continuing the YouTube video downloader. In last part, I created the API for the same, and in this video, I will be continuing and binding those API using Angular to create my front end. So without any further ado, let's get started.
So here I am inside my VS Code and I'm gonna go and create a new Angular space. So I'll write ng new and the folder's name. So it will ask me a few questions that I will allow and answer. And now the file is and space is created. So I will run this file and show you what happens. So I'm running this Angular project inside the folder, and once it is executed, the landing page, or you can say the HTML page, will be shown to us. Now it will take some time, so I will directly show you the result. So now here, as you can see, this is the HTML page rendering here on the browser. So I will continue and remove this all and write my own code. So I will go ahead on VS Code and remove all these HTML. So I will go ahead and continue to write my code here, but one thing to notice is that I'm using the main app components and not creating another component, because it is a single page app and not multiple page. But yeah, if there was multiple pages, I would have created separate folder for all of them. So yeah, so now I will write the HTML. Here I have created a div, and then in span I have written the header where the link will be. So after that I have created an input field where I am using Angular forms for the input to be binded with API. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now I need to go ahead and create the form in the TS file. So before that I will create the buttons that are required for submitting and getting the input. Here I have created two buttons, one for audio and one for video. So once I paste the URL on the text input, whenever I click the buttons, they will react this for the respective purpose. And moving on, I will have to go ahead and write these function in the TS file. So I will go ahead on my TS file and continue the required code here. So here I will first initialize the forms, and by the form I mean the form I have written over here. So these form groups are served by Angular that I'm using. So I will go ahead and firstly define this form URL form, and now I will write where I am getting it from. So that is form group. Now I will have to import it, so it is automatically imported. The path and the module is automatically written inside this file. So moving on, I will declare the constructor. So inside constructor we define our services and where are we importing from. Constructor, now I will write the service. So I am using form group right now, so I need form builder as well. So form builder will together bind create the form and use the values and give it to the component.ts file. And I have defined this form builder as an alias name inside form builder. So I need to close the body here. So now I will go ahead and initialize the form. So I will make a function name as initialize form. So inside this function I will be declaring and creating the body of the form. So here I will write this dot url form that is declared above, and we have used it in our HTML file as well. So URL form, and this will be equal to the form builder, and here I will group it so that I can put some validation ahead. And the field name will be URL, so I will add some validation that it is required and we cannot continue without submitting or giving the link to the page. Now I will move ahead and put this initialize form function inside ng-on init. Now ng-on init is a function that is called for the very first time when a component is loaded. So I will go ahead and write implements on init. Now this will be used by the ts file, and it will be fetched from the Angular core that is already being imported. Now I will move ahead and write the ng-on init function. Now I will write ng-on init, and inside its body I will call the function this dot initialize form. So I'm writing this because the initialize function is global and I will be using it inside another function. Now the function is created, so whenever I will load the component, this initialize form function will be called, and HTML will see if the TS file have it or not. So now I will go ahead and initialize these functions and get the function into action. Now get audio is the very first function that I am declaring, and this will download the audio for me. Now, before completing this function, I need a service that will interact with my API. So for that, I will be creating a service named download service inside a service folder. So I will go ahead and create a service and name it as download service.ts. Now since I created this file is purely empty, but let's go ahead and search for a command that will automatically create the file and have some code written on it. So I have copied the code and ng generate service name inside the service folder. So this will give me a written code for the service, and let's move ahead and delete this previously built file. Now if we wait for a second or two, we have our service built. Yeah, so we have a service built. Now there is code written already here, that is class which will be exporting the code written on it to another file. Moving on, I will declare the required module here inside the constructor, and that will be HTTP client that will actually interact with the server, and that is the APIs I have created. Now I have written private HTTP client, and this is the module that we are gonna be using in this service. So now let's import HTTP client, since it is not being automatically imported and not coming as a suggestion. So it is inside HTTP Angular common HTTP. So now I will move ahead and make the function for audio binding with API. So get audio from URL, and inside this I will pass the parameter, that is URL, that will be getting from the input field of the HTML page. And further I will return the API path, and this API is of get method. So I have written this HTTP client get, and further I will be giving the URL of the API here. So that was actually HTTP localhost, and I hosted it on 4000. So let's actually copy this from Postman only, and I will go ahead and paste it in here as it is. Now I will remove the URL that is now being static and it's not a variable, and I will paste here the URL variable that will be containing the URL we will be sending from the front end. And yeah, that's it. And now the last thing we have to do is to declare the response type. Since it is a file, we have to return it as blob type. So yeah, I will go ahead and write response type as blob. So it is written as response type blob inside a JSON format. Now one thing is missing, that I am using video inside audio, so I will change it to audio and make another function for video format. So moving on, I will my bad, audio, yeah. So moving on, I will copy this function and paste it as it is, and change the audio to video, and inside the URL as well it will become video. And now there is an error that is being shown here. So yeah, it is probably because I have written it outside the export class. So yeah, let's copy it and paste it inside the class. And yeah, we are pretty much done here. Our service is completed, and now let's move ahead to our component.ts file and bind these APIs. So here I am inside the component.ts file, and the first thing I will do here is to import the service that I have just created. And for doing so, I will create an alias name inside the constructor and give the name of the service that we have just created, and the alias name is download service, and the class name was download service. And now I will import it. So yeah, it is giving me a suggestion, so I have imported it successfully. Now I will move ahead and use this service inside my function. So here inside this function, the very first thing I am writing is to import the service, and that is by writing this dot download service, that is the alias name which is globally being imported. And now inside this there are two functions. So I am inside the audio function, so I will get the audio function, and then I will write inside it this dot URL form dot value. So what will it do is that it will provide the input of the form and give it to the function as a parameter. And for doing so, you can write this dot URL form dot value dot URL. So you are writing the form name, then the value of the input field, that is namely whatever you have written it. So further we will subscribe to this event, and we will take the response, and inside response we will be downloading the file that we are getting from the backend. So I will write this download file, and we will be making this function in a while, and inside this I will pass the response that I am getting from the service, that is the backend service, and I will provide it a type, that what type of a file it is. So it is a audio file, so I will be writing application/audio/mp3, and Yeah, that's pretty much it for passing the value. And now let's handle the error as well. If there is any sort of error, so I should be getting informed about it. So I will write error, and then inside its body I will be just alerting the window about the error. So inside the body I will write alert and the error. So yeah, it will give me whatever error the backend is throwing. So moving on, let's continue and write this download file function. Here I am writing the function download file, and let's complete the body first. And now here I will pass the parameter of response that will be taken as data, and the type I am sending is will be taken inside the type parameter that will be of type string. So yeah, let's complete this function and I will be explaining it then. So here what I am doing is to get the blob type and then using it to download the data that have been returned from the API. I use the same technique once, so I hope it works, and if it does not I will look up for it on Stack Overflow. Now let's move ahead and get our video function ready. So I will copy the same thing and paste it and make changes for video. Here I am changing the things from audio to video, and the file type will be video and slash mp4. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this. And we have our HTML ready, we have a component.ts file ready. Now the last thing we need to do is to import these modules. As you can see, there are various modules that we have used, and they will be namely form module, then HTTP client module, and reactive form module, mat input module, and etc. You can see those on my screen. There are total 8 imports that I have done now. So let's move ahead and run the file, and ng service written. So this should import actually compile the whole thing. So yeah, actually it would have taken a lot of time to show you guys the import, so I have actually removed that part, but yeah, that would have been unnecessary. You can see on my screen what imports I have done. So yeah, let's move ahead and compile this whole thing, and it is compiling. It takes a little bit time, so I have fast forwarded it, and now you can see on my screen that the HTML is rendering correctly on my screen, and I will give it a link to download. So now I will click on get audio, and it is taking a bit time. Yes, it is downloaded, but the problem is there is no extension in here. It is not giving me an option to open, so I will see for the get video, and it is also asking for to disable the pop-up, and it is also getting downloaded the same. It does not have extension, so I will have to provide the extension to it. So let's go ahead and search it on Stack Overflow. So yeah, let's move ahead to Stack Overflow and see for a solution. How can I download the file with an extension? After struggling for a few hours, I got a solution that told me how can I save the file in a specific format. So I am copying pasting it on my function, and yeah, let's see how it helps me. So I will paste it. Yeah, so now let's see if this works after modifying few things, and I will give it the name as file.mp4, and let's see if it works or not. I need to define one more thing, so yeah, I need to give it another name. So let's write it url1, because I have already used it in at bottom. So yeah, I think it should work. It looks completely fine right now to me, and it will be giving me um, two downloads, I believe, because one I haven't commented my code and I have written another code. So I have clicked on get video, and yeah, it downloaded, and yeah, as I said, it downloads two file, and the very first one is what we required, that is the .mp4 file with the file name file. And now let's comment the rest of the things that we don't need, but before that let's give the mp3 version as well. And for that I will have to give it the give it inside a if function after checking the type of the file that is sent by the function. So yeah, now I will give it the else condition, where I will be writing the mp3 part. So yes, mp3 is done. Now let's see if the audio version downloads as well. So I will copy the link again and move ahead to the page and paste the link here, and click on get audio, and it downloads the file for me. So it works completely fine. Let's play the mp3 file, and it is opening in the music player, and yeah, so it works fine. So now let's move ahead and comment the code that is not required anymore. So I will comment it. So now I have commented things, and I am writing data here that is actually being used, so I can remove the rest thing. And now let's see if it works fine and downloads only one file. So I will click and paste here and get audio, and yes, it downloads only one file. That means our code is working fine, and it plays as well in the correct software. So yeah, let's remove this thing that we don't require, and we are pretty much done. Just that we have bad layout, bad UI, so let's fix it quite little bit, but not too much. So I will just center the div and put some normal CSS. So yeah, let's see how we centered the div actually, because I don't remember that. So I will copy this from here and paste it inside the div style, and yeah, so now let's see what changes it actually give us. So it gives nothing. So yeah, so if the file wasn't saved, so our whole div is in center. Now let's try to give the input box some underline to see to know that where it actually lies. So I will search for it again and copy this copy this whole thing and paste it inside this input style. So yeah, now let's see the change it did to us. Okay, so it did not. So let's try and copy another. So I'll copy this and paste it here, and let's see the change. So yeah, it gives me the red border, but I don't want red border, so I will change the border. And if you notice, I removed a break line. because it was not looking good. So yeah, so now it is done. We are done with this whole thing, and I hope you find this video informative. And yeah, do tell me in the comments if you like this video and find it educational. Let's see each other in the next video. Bye.